Hey everybody, it's Vex here, also known as Aaron Gentry on DM's Guild. That's my real name. Uh, so today for this video, I am actually making a product video. If you're finding this on YouTube, if you found this on the product page right in here somewhere, then you know what you're looking at. This is mostly to go over what this extension or what this product is, and also to explain how to install it. I want to make it easier for people to install it because I understand it's a little complicated. So I'm going to go through that. First of all, this is the base mod that you need. If you want to have the absolute fullest um, capabilities, you also are going to want Olog's treasure generator extension, which if you follow this link, it'll take you to the Fantasy Grounds forums, and you can download this link right here. You're going to want to put it in your Fantasy Grounds data folder, in your extension folder. It added a little one at the end because I already got it downloaded, but I'll re-download it, replace it. It's a tiny little download, and really, if you don't know, Fantasy Grounds extensions are quite safe. They're literally just zip files that have been renamed, and they have some XML and Lua coding in them. Sometimes they have images and other things in them. The bigger ones do. In this case, it's a very tiny one. It's only 3.5 kilobytes. There's not going to be anything dangerous in there, and this one's been tested for several years. It's been in use. I don't think the last time Olog did anything was June of 2018. So it is very safe, and it does. I believe it does, or I can't remember if it works in Unity yet. I need to go test it again. I know at one point it didn't, but last I heard it does work in Unity. I'm not sure. So you need this mod. For full functionality, you need this extension, but you don't have to use this extension. You can roll these tables without the extension. The extension just adds a button that you can push to do some automatic rolling. And then you need my hoard, my trinket hoard, which is linked both right here and right here. The trinket hoard is only 99 cents, and it comes with 700 trinkets, which are all coded as individual items in Fantasy Grounds, which are nice for drag and drop and all that stuff. And then you also need the Dungeons Master's Guide, because most of the tables that we're actually rolling off of are at least the nested ones that are nested in my tables, are found in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So it's for this reason that you need all this stuff. That the actual base tables, I have them set as just a suggested price of $4.99. But you can put anything in there, and if you, I really do not mind if you get these for nothing. If you put $0 in there, and then if you find that you do use them and like them a lot, if you come back and give me another dollar or two, that's perfectly fine. I have put a notice on here, and it's been on here ever since this thing has been up. Please do not go over the suggested price because of all the other stuff that you have to buy. I feel bad that you have to buy a $30 book or module for Fantasy Grounds just for this to work. Most DMs are going to already own this thing, so it's not a big deal. But then you have to pay 99 cents for the trinket hoard. So, um, a dollar or two if you want to support me, that's great. So let's get into actually how you get everything to work correctly. So first of all, I've got Fantasy Grounds running. I'm just gonna we're gonna call this treasure generator test. I'm making a completely new table so you can see how you set this all up. Um, I'm turning on 5e. I'm gonna use very few things extension wise. I am gonna turn on, of course, the random treasure generator table, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and put on the sidebar buttons, which will change them to the colored buttons, and then I'm gonna use the Matacure's Montserrat font just to make it easier to see. But that's all I'm turning on. And we'll wait for Fantasy Grounds to load. And when it loads, because it's a new table, we'll see the little, default Fantasy Grounds, welcome to Fantasy Grounds. Here's the instructions manual, campaign setup thing. I'm going to unclick show unload. But you're also going to see the sample random treasure table, because when you load the random treasure generator extension, and there's no folders already in the group for the random treasure generator extension group, it by default creates this table. So we are going to load up tables over there on the right. And as you can see, in the random treasure generator extension, it created this table. But we're also going to go to the library. I'm going to move this over to the side, and we're going to go to modules. And then we're going to search for my stuff under VeX. And we're looking for the two that we need. There's two tables that we need first. There's actually 3 total, but we need 2 that are mine. We need my random treasure tables and my trinket hoard. Now, the other thing we need is made by Wizards of the Coast, and it is way up here. Should have just searched for dungeon, but it's the Dungeon Master's Guide. So now we've got all of our sources. But what we need to do is make copies of the tables that are in my random treasure tables. So as you can see, this little book means that these are part of a module. Now, the way that the extent now, as it is right now, if you had, for instance, let me see, where's a encounter? That's what I want. We'll just use one of these already built. There's a displacer beast, although it doesn't have. Okay, we need the monster manual loaded, I think. Or we'll just not use that one. How about that? Okay, I'm going to make a new encounter here yeah, I'm going to load the monster manual just so I can get monsters that I know are coded correctly. Okay. So let's just pull out, a black dragon that's an adult, and maybe he has 2 young black dragons with him. Okay, so this is our encounter that we've built. It's a CR17. It would give out that much XP. If I click this, and nothing's going to happen because that default table doesn't really do anything. So, and it rolled on, just so you know, it rolled on this table, which doesn't actually do anything. It rolls like a D6 of gold. That's it. Because it's just a sample. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. We want it to roll on my tables, but the way it works is you have to have copies of the tables that you want made in this group. So first we have to make copies of these, and the way you make copies is you grab the link and you drop it right where it is. And you'll note it made a copy because the little book isn't there, which means that copy is not a part of that module, and it also says copy. So, and you only need to do this for the challenge rating ones. The other ones can just stay right where they are. So we're going to go through and make copies of everything. And now if you're not going to use the extension, if you're just going to roll on these tables, you do not need to do this. This is only so that you can use the extension. To just roll on these tables, you do not need to go through this process of making these copies. In fact, you can grab, if you've got all 3 of these loaded and you're not going to use the extensions, for instance, if you decide, okay, it's CR17, I'm just going to roll on this table, you can do that and it'll roll. and you'll see it's rolling and rolling and rolling. Now, personally, I probably, for this particular encounter, I would probably go into the DMG, and if I go to reference manual, it's still adding stuff. But for this particular encounter with a dragon and two like young dragons, like its children, I think it's done now. So it did add a bunch of stuff. However, if it was me and I was doing a like this particular encounter, I'd probably use the horde table. So like this one rolls a little bit differently. Oh, and it's rolling it in the chat instead because I didn't set it to parcel. But you can see it rolls similarly, but it doesn't roll quite as much stuff. But it'll roll far more gold and platinum, like a lot more gold, because dragons tend to have more of a hoard of coins than items. But you can use whichever one you want, and this is really about setting up my tables. So as you can see, though, they work without the extension. But now that we've got these copies, what you want to do is open that up so that you can see to get the extension working. And you want to move all the copies in to that folder, that group. And the reason is because this extension, when you push this button, it is looking for specifically worded tables in that particular group, and it picks up on this particular syntax of challenge rating X through Y. So like if your challenge rating is between those numbers, it picks up on that particular one, on that particular table. So let me go in and make sure we've got the right ones. 0 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yes, we're all done. Everything else, those other tables, my tables will just roll off of these tables. You don't have to move the affordable armor, the common weapons, expensive armor, mundane items, uncommon weapon. You don't have to move those. You just have to move these ones right here. And once those are in the right place, we can then just click this button and it will roll on the right tables. And when you keep the rolls hidden from your players, as you can see, these are all hidden. Your players will really love seeing, oh, he's rolling treasure, and they'll just see dice rolling, and they'll like their anticipation of what they're gonna get. They really love that. I know several groups have talked to me about how their players just love when they kill something and the DM starts rolling treasure. Now, I usually personally roll all my treasures and stuff beforehand during when I'm prepping things, but a lot of people really like this, and it will roll for individual monsters with this treasure generator. So rather than rolling on the total CR, it rolls off of the CR of the monsters. So and so the more things you have, the longer it will take. So by comparison, I'm going to show you one last thing before I end this video here. We're going to make another encounter. And we're going to call this one Goblins. And let's say they encounter a horde of goblins led by a goblin boss. And there are, I don't want to be rolling forever, but we'll just do 20. See, that's only a 5 CR and 1200 XP, but when I click this button, and you can move these around. By comparison, this took about, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute to roll. This is going to take 3 minutes, I bet, at least, because it has to go through each and every monster and roll on those tables. And while this is going to be higher quality and probably worth more overall, as far as the coin value of everything, you're going to end up with 300 items. Well, maybe not that much, but it's going to feel like a whole lot of stuff. And a lot of it is going to be worth like almost nothing. Like there's going to be a lot of trinkets and low level stuff and very little coins for, what is essentially like a third level encounter versus a, 10th or 11th level encounter. And I'm just guessing at what levels, honestly. This might actually be kind of a hard encounter for third level, maybe fourth or fifth, but I think most 10th level characters would, a group of 10th level characters that is, would roll through this fairly easily. It'd be a fun encounter, but it wouldn't be too hard. And as you can see, it's still going. And I have no idea of knowing at where it is. It will keep going and going and going, and it's adding just a few coins and maybe one or two items every time. Um, I was actually expecting a lot more mundane stuff, but it's not rolling a lot of mundane. There's a lot of trinkets like the perspiring cup, a small collapsible silver cup that perspires constantly when opened. Um, fragility crystal. While attuned to this crystal, the creature's melee weapons deal +3 damage to non-magical glass. uh, some of these I found on the internet, and some I made up myself. And sometimes when I look back at them, I'm like, "What was I drinking that day?" Like, I had to be really out of my mind. Specimen number 13, if I remember right, these specimen ones are pretty funny. Specimen vial labeled number 13 contains dead slod tadpole. It vibrates around lawful monsters. I'm not sure if that's helpful at all. Did it finish? It looks like it finally finished. It's not rolling anymore. So you can see there's a lot of junk in here, but not a whole lot of really useful stuff. But for some parties, they will find this to be a ton of fun just sorting through all these trinkets and useless items. And I know in my games, my players go through periods where they like seeing a big pile of junk that they have to sort through. And then other times they're like, oh, I don't want to spend 15 minutes going through all these items and reading. So there's a time for everything. I would say for most encounters, though, you're better off rolling ahead of time and kind of weeding out what you need. Like, for instance, if I was setting this up as a real encounter, I'd probably add a 0 and maybe make this like 6,500 gold and maybe make this like 10,000 silver in order to make it more like a dragon horde. Um, the +1 blow needles, I'd probably make that like 50 because what use is one needle. Um, don't remember what a heartstone is. Oh, it's just a trinket. Okay. I might change this to like 5 potions of healing. Um, and then I probably, because I don't really see it, I might add specifically some like magic weapons that I feel like my party needs, or magic armor or something like that. Because I feel like that maybe one or two magic items would be appropriate in here. Um, I mean, we did get the magic ammo, and you have the dust of disappearance and the dust of sneezing and choking, and some potions and some scrolls. But uh, I'd probably have some sort of maybe a wand or something. But as you can see, these are really useful, and they're really good for just giving you ideas, even for what kind of to make your treasure feel more random. There's nothing that says you can't roll on this again, and then combine them into a single cohesive treasure that you give to your party. And often I do that because I'll roll 2 or 3 times, and then I'll pick things from each one of them to build into a single parcel for that encounter. Um, and that makes it feel both curated and random. Like as you can see, we're already getting different things than we got the first time. Um, like the potion of fire giant strength was that's interesting. A doorknob, a crystal knob from a door. Interesting. There's all sorts of crazy trinkets. Anyway, I hope this was informative. I hope this lets you know how to set up this extension and the tables. so that it all works correctly. And good gaming, everybody.